Welcome back to Stamps World. Today we are exploring one of the most interesting stamps in United States postal history, the famous Benjamin Franklin 1/2 cent United States postage stamp. At first glance, this small red stamp may not look very valuable, but its history, purpose, and place in American philately make it a fascinating collectible. Many people discover this stamp in old family albums, inherited collections, or antique boxes, and immediately wonder whether it could be worth a fortune. In today's video, we will explore the history of the stamp, why it was issued, its design, its rarity, and most importantly, its market value in today's collector market. So stay with me until the end, because I will also explain what makes one copy worth only a few cents while another can sell for hundreds of dollars. The Benjamin Franklin 1/2 cent stamp was first issued by the United States Post Office on October 20th, 1955 as part of the famous Liberty series, one of the most recognized definitive stamp series in American postal history. During the 1950s, postal rates sometimes required half-cent denominations for newspapers, bulk mail, and certain commercial mailing services. To meet these postal needs, the government introduced this beautiful half-cent stamp. It eventually became the last half-cent postage stamp ever issued by the United States, making it an important historical item for collectors around the world. The design of this stamp is both simple and elegant. It features a detailed portrait of Benjamin Franklin, one of America's greatest founding fathers. Franklin was not only a statesman and inventor, but also the very first Postmaster General of the American colonies. His contributions to developing the American postal system are one of the main reasons why his portrait has appeared on U.S. postage stamps more often than almost any other historical figure. On this stamp, you can clearly see the words United States Postage printed in the upper right corner, Benjamin Franklin's name below the portrait, and the denomination 1/2 cent displayed prominently at the bottom. The rich red-orange color makes this stamp easy to recognize and gives it a classic appearance that collectors admire even today. One of the reasons collectors enjoy this stamp is because it tells an important story about the evolution of postal services in the United States. During the mid-20th century, mailing costs were much lower than they are today, and many postal rates required exact amounts, including half-cent values. Instead of forcing customers to overpay, the United States Postal Service produced this half-cent denomination to make postal transactions accurate and convenient. Today, modern postage rates no longer require half-cent values, making the stamp a reminder of a completely different era in postal history. Now, let's talk about what every collector wants to know: the value. The value of this Benjamin Franklin 1/2 cent stamp depends on several important factors. First is the overall condition. A stamp with bright original color, sharp perforations, no tears, no stains, and no creases will always be worth more than one that has been heavily used or damaged. Second is whether the stamp is mint or used. Mint stamps that still have their original gum on the back and have never been hinged are generally more desirable. Third is the centering of the design. Collectors pay premium prices for stamps where the margins are perfectly balanced on all four sides. Finally, professional grading can significantly increase the value of exceptional examples. In today's collector market, an average used Benjamin Franklin 1/2 cent stamp usually sells for around 25 cents to $2 depending on its condition. A mint example with original gum may be worth approximately $3 to $15. Well-centered mint never hinged copies in outstanding condition may sell for $20 to $50, while professionally graded examples with exceptional quality can sometimes reach $100, $250, or even several $100s at specialized stamp auctions. Although stories on social media sometimes claim that every Benjamin Franklin stamp is worth thousands or even millions of dollars, those claims are usually misleading. Only extremely rare varieties, printing errors, or unique examples in extraordinary condition command very high prices. If you own this stamp, examine it carefully using a magnifying glass. Look for clean perforations, fresh color, and any unusual printing varieties. Never remove old hinges roughly or attempt to clean the stamp, because cleaning can actually reduce its value. The safest way to preserve old stamps is by storing them in acid-free stock books or protective mounts away from sunlight, humidity, and dust. Proper storage helps maintain their quality for future generations and keeps their collector value intact. The Benjamin Franklin 1/2-cent stamp may not be the rarest stamp ever issued, but remains one of the most important and historically significant definitive stamps in American postal history. Its connection to Benjamin Franklin, its role as the last half-cent U.S. postage stamp, and its attractive classic design make a favorite among collectors worldwide. Every stamp tells a story, and this one tells the story of how America's postal system evolved during the 20th century while honoring one of the nation's greatest historical figures. Next up, we are taking a close look at a colorful and fascinating modern United States postage stamp, the USA 1-cent American Kestrel stamp. At first glance, this beautiful stamp catches the eye with its vibrant colors and detailed artwork of the American Kestrel, one of North America's smallest and most colorful birds of prey. Many people find this stamp in old collections, inherited albums, or forgotten envelopes, and immediately ask the same question: could this tiny 1-cent stamp be valuable today? In this video, we will explore the history of this stamp, the story behind the American Kestrel, why the stamp was issued, what makes some copies more valuable than others, and its current market value in today's collector market. Stay with me until the end because I'll also share a few important tips that every stamp collector should know before buying or selling this stamp. The stamp shown here is the United States 1-cent American Kestrel stamp, part of the famous Birds and Flowers definitive series issued by the United States Postal Service during the 1980s. This long-running series celebrated the natural beauty of America by pairing colorful birds with beautiful flowers across different stamp denominations. The 1-cent American Kestrel stamp quickly became one of the most recognizable issues in the series because of its brilliant colors and detailed printing. Unlike commemorative stamps that are produced for a limited time, definitive stamps like this one were printed in extremely large quantities to meet everyday postal needs across the country. The American Kestrel itself is an amazing bird. It is the smallest falcon found in North America and is known for its incredible hunting skills, bright plumage, and ability to hover while searching for prey. The bird's colorful feathers, featuring shades of blue, orange, brown, and black, make it one of the most beautiful birds ever featured on a U.S. postage stamp. The artist carefully captured these colors to create a design that remains attractive to collectors decades after its release. One interesting fact about this 1-cent stamp is its postal purpose. During the time it was issued, postal rates frequently changed, and customers often needed low-value stamps to make up the exact postage required for letters, postcards, and bulk mail. Instead of purchasing an entirely new stamp with a higher denomination, customers simply added 1-cent stamps like this American Kestrel issue to reach the correct mailing rate. Because millions of Americans use these stamps every day, the United States Postal Service printed enormous quantities, making them easy to find today. Now let's discuss the question that every collector wants answered. How much is this stamp worth today? The value depends on several important factors. First is the condition of the stamp. A clean stamp with bright original colors, sharp corners, perfect perforations, and no tears or stains will always be worth more than a damaged example. Second is whether the stamp is mint or used. A mint stamp that still has its original gum and has never been hinged is generally more desirable than one that has already been used on mail. Third is centering. Collectors always pay more for stamps where the printed design is perfectly centered within the perforations. Finally, unusual printing varieties, color shifts, missing colors, perforation errors, or officially recognized production mistakes can dramatically increase a stamp's value. In today's collector market, a common used American Kestrel 1-cent stamp usually sells for around 10 cents to 50 cents US dollars. Mint examples with original gum generally sell for 50 cents to $3 US, depending on condition. Blocks of 4 complete sheets or postal booklets may bring $5 to $25 or more if preserved in excellent condition. Exceptionally well-centered graded examples or rare printing errors can sell for $50, $100, or several $100s, although such examples are uncommon. Most ordinary copies found in collections are appreciated more for their beauty and history than for high monetary value. If you believe you own a valuable copy, take a close look before selling it. Examine the stamp under good lighting, using a magnifying glass. Look for unusual printing characteristics, missing ink, color variations, double impressions, or perforation differences. Never clean a stamp. trim its perforations, or attempt repairs because doing so can significantly reduce its collector value. The best way to preserve stamps is by storing them in acid-free stockbooks or protective mounts away from moisture, direct sunlight, and excessive heat. One reason collectors continue to enjoy the American Kestrel stamp is its artistic appeal. Even though it is a modern definitive issue, its vibrant colors, realistic wildlife illustration, and connection to American nature make a favorite among bird lovers and philatelists alike. It reminds us that postage stamps are more than just payment for mail. They are miniature works of art that celebrate history, science, wildlife, and national heritage. Modern definitive stamps, like this one, also provide an excellent starting point for new collectors. They are affordable, widely available, and offer endless opportunities to study printing methods, paper varieties, tagging differences, and postal history. Many experienced philatelists began their collections with simple 1-cent stamps, just like this American Kestrel issue, before moving on to rarer and more valuable stamps. Next up, we are exploring one of the most historic and beautiful United States postage stamps ever issued, the 1-cent George Washington and Nathaniel Green Mount Vernon stamp. This green-colored stamp is a favorite among collectors because it honors two important heroes of the American Revolutionary War, while also featuring the famous Mount Vernon estate. Many collectors find this stamp in old albums, inherited collections, or antique shops, and immediately wonder whether it could be a valuable treasure. In today's video, we'll uncover the fascinating history behind this stamp, learn about the people featured on it, discuss its printing details, explore what makes certain examples valuable, and reveal its current market value in today's stamp collecting world. Stay with me until the end because I will also explain what collectors should look for before buying or selling this historic stamp. This remarkable stamp was issued by the United States Post Office as part of the 1932 Washington Bicentennial Series, celebrating the 200th anniversary of the birth of George Washington, the first president of the United States. The Bicentennial Series included several beautifully designed stamps featuring important moments, places, and individuals connected to Washington's life. Unlike ordinary definitive stamps used for everyday mail, these commemorative stamps were created to honor one of America's greatest historical figures and preserve his legacy through postage. The design of the stamp is truly unique. On the left side is a portrait of George Washington, commander of the Continental Army during the American Revolutionary War and the nation's first president. On the right side is Major General Nathaniel Greene, one of Washington's most trusted military commanders. Greene played a critical role in the Southern campaigns of the Revolutionary War, helping secure important victories that contributed to American independence. Between the two portraits is an engraving of Mount Vernon, George Washington's beloved plantation home in Virginia. The detailed artwork beautifully combines portraits, architecture, and patriotic symbolism into one elegant design that continues to impress collectors nearly a century after its release. The stamp was printed in a rich green color with a face value of 1 cent, which at the time covered the standard postcard rate and certain domestic mailing services. Millions of these stamps were produced because they were intended for regular postal use. Although many examples still exist today, finding one in exceptional condition is becoming increasingly difficult because so many were used on everyday mail during the 1930s. One of the reasons collectors appreciate this stamp is the incredible craftsmanship involved in its production. During the early 20th century, American postage stamps were engraved using highly skilled printing techniques that created crisp lines, detailed portraits, and outstanding visual quality. Even after decades, the fine engraving on Washington's face, Greene's portrait, and Mount Vernon remains impressive. This level of craftsmanship is one reason why classic engraved stamps remain highly respected among philatelists worldwide. Now let's answer the question that every collector wants to know. What is this stamp worth today? The value depends on several important factors. First is condition. A stamp with bright original color, clean paper, sharp perforations, and no tears, stains, or heavy creases will always command a higher price. Second is whether the stamp is mint or used. Mint stamps that still retain their original gum and have never been hinged are generally more valuable than used copies. Third is centering. Collectors pay premium prices for examples where the printed design is perfectly centered within the perforations. Finally, professional grading can significantly increase the value of exceptional examples. In today's stamp market, a common used copy of this 1932 Washington Bicentennial 1 Cent Mount Vernon stamp generally sells for around 25 cents to $3, depending on condition. A mint hinge example may sell for approximately $2 to $10, while a mint never hinge example in excellent condition often sells for $10 to $40. Professionally graded stamps with outstanding centering and flawless preservation can reach $100, $250, or even several $100s at specialized stamp auctions. Rare plate blocks, complete sheets, unusual printing varieties, or stamps with significant production errors can command even higher prices among advanced collectors. If you own one of these stamps, take time to inspect it carefully. Use stamp tongs instead of your fingers to avoid transferring oils onto the paper. Examine the perforations under good lighting, and look for any unusual printing characteristics, such as color shifts, missing perforations, double impressions, or other production errors. Never attempt to clean or repair an old stamp because restoration almost always reduces its collector value. The safest way to preserve valuable stamps is by storing them in acid-free albums or protective mounts away from moisture, direct sunlight, and excessive heat. Beyond its monetary value, this stamp holds tremendous historical significance. It reminds us of the courage, leadership, and determination that shaped the birth of the United States. George Washington's leadership during the Revolutionary War and Nathaniel Greene's brilliant military strategies helped secure American independence, while Mount Vernon stands today as one of the nation's most treasured historic landmarks. Every time collectors look at this stamp, they are reminded of the people and places that played a vital role in the founding of the United States. Collectors around the world continue to admire this issue because it combines history, art, and patriotic symbolism into one beautiful miniature masterpiece. Whether you are an experienced philatelist or just beginning your collecting journey, this stamp deserves a place in any United States stamp collection. It is not only a piece of postal history, but also a lasting tribute to the heroes who helped shape a nation. Next up, we are taking a close look at one of the most recognizable stamps in American postal history, the Benjamin Franklin 1/2 cent U.S. postage stamp. This small red stamp may look ordinary at first glance, but it represents an important chapter in the history of the United States Postal Service. Many collectors discover the stamp inside old family albums, inherited collections, estate sales, or antique stores, and immediately wonder if it could be worth a significant amount of money. In today's video, we'll explore the history behind this stamp, why it was issued, who Benjamin Franklin was, what makes certain examples more valuable than others, and how much collectors are willing to pay for it in today's stamp market. Make sure you stay until the end because I'll also explain how to identify a valuable example and avoid common mistakes that can reduce its value. The stamp featured in today's video is the Benjamin Franklin 1/2 cent U.S. postage stamp, which was issued by the United States Post Office during the Liberty Series, one of the most famous definitive stamp series in American history. This series was introduced during the 1950s and included many different denominations designed for everyday postal use. The half-cent denomination served a very special purpose because at the time, certain mailing services required exact postage rates that included half-cent values. Rather than forcing customers to overpay, the post office created this stamp so businesses and individuals could pay the correct amount for newspapers, magazines, bulk mail, and other postal services. One fascinating fact about this stamp is that it became the last half-cent postage stamp ever issued by the United States. As postal rates change over time, the need for half-cent denominations disappeared forever. That makes this tiny stamp an important milestone in U.S. postal history. Although millions were printed for everyday use, its historical significance continues to attract collectors from all over the world. The design of the stamp is both simple and elegant. It features a finely engraved portrait of Benjamin Franklin, one of the most influential figures in American history. Franklin was much more than a founding father. He was an inventor, scientist, diplomat, writer, printer, and perhaps most importantly for this stamp, America's first postmaster general. His work helped establish the foundation of the American postal system, making him one of the most appropriate individuals to appear on U.S. postage stamps. Over the years, Benjamin Franklin has appeared on more American stamps than almost any other historical figure, reflecting his enormous contribution to the nation. The rich red color of the stamp makes it instantly recognizable. At the bottom, the denomination 1/2 cent U.S. postage is clearly printed, while Franklin's name appears beside his portrait. Despite its small size, the engraving contains an impressive amount of detail, demonstrating the exceptional craftsmanship used in American stamp production during the mid-20th century. Even today, collectors admire the sharp lines, balanced layout, and timeless appearance of this classic design. Now, let's discuss the question that brings many viewers to this video. How much is this Benjamin Franklin 1/2 cent stamp worth today? The answer depends on several important factors. The first factor is condition. A stamp with bright original color, clean paper, sharp perforation, and no tears, stains, creases, or missing corners will always be worth more than a damaged example. The second factor is whether the stamp is mint or used. A mint stamp with its original gum intact and no hinge marks is generally more desirable than a used stamp that has already been canceled. Third, collectors examine centering very carefully. If the printed design is perfectly centered within the perforations, the stamp becomes much more valuable. Finally, professionally graded examples often command premium prices because their condition has been officially certified. In today's collector market, an average used Benjamin Franklin 1/2 cent stamp generally sells for 25 cents to $2 depending on its condition. A mint hinge copy may sell for approximately $2 to $8, while a mint never hinge example with excellent centering can often sell for $10 to $25. Professionally graded examples in outstanding condition have sold for $50, $100, or even several $100s at specialized stamp auctions. Extremely rare printing errors, missing colors, inverted designs, or unusual production varieties can be worth significantly more, but these are very uncommon and require professional authentication before assigning a high value. If you believe you own a valuable example, examine it carefully under good lighting. Use stamp tongs instead of your fingers to prevent oils from damaging the paper. Look closely at the perforations, printing quality, and gum on the back if it is mint. Never clean a stamp or attempt to repair damaged perforations because restoration usually reduces collector value. Proper preservation is essential. Store your stamps in acid-free albums or protective mounts and keep them away from moisture, heat, and direct sunlight. Collectors appreciate this stamp not only because of its monetary value, but also because of its historical importance. It represents a final chapter of half-cent postage in the United States and honors the man who helped build America's postal system. Every stamp tells a story, and this one tells a story of changing postal rates, evolving communication, and the remarkable legacy of Benjamin Franklin. Whether you're a beginner building your first collection or an experienced philatelist searching for classic U.S. issues, the Benjamin Franklin 1/2 cent stamp deserves a place in your collection. Its combination of history, attractive design, and lasting popularity ensures that it will continue to be admired by collectors for generations to come. Thank you for watching Stamps World. I hope you enjoyed learning about the Benjamin Franklin 1/2 cent U.S. postage stamp, its fascinating history, rarity, and current market value. If you have one of these stamps in your collection, tell us about it in the comments below. We'd love to hear your story. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Stamps World, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our latest videos featuring rare stamps, hidden treasures, collector tips, and market value updates from around the world. Thank you for your support. Happy collecting, and I'll see you in the next exciting episode of Stamps World.